This is Casper de Nora, and you're watching the Chat with Chaps live show.
That went well.
Good evening and welcome to the Chat with Chaps live show. I'm your host, Joe Zampa. And before I introduce my co-hosts tonight, please make sure you smash that like button, hit subscribe. As you know, it does help with the algorithms and it boosts our fundraising for the Cancer Research UK. So cheers for your support. Thank you also to our sponsor, Spectrum VR, who you can see at the bottom of the screen there. So if you've got any body shop motor needs, if you own a bus or a lorry or a trailer, get in contact with those guys. I'm sure they'll sort you out. So thanks a lot. So first of all, we have three fantastic hosts, that haven't actually featured in recent weeks. So it's great to have them back. And I tell you, we've got a bigger squad depth than Mill at the moment. So first up, fresh from his daycare duties, is the Danish destroyer, Jesper Dengar. How you doing, Jesper?
I'm good, Joe. Yeah, thanks. Good to be back.
That one always tickles you, that one, doesn't it?
Yeah, I always wonder if you came up with a new nickname, as you did, I think, previous time I was on. So I was a bit skeptic. But yeah, no, I'm doing well. I'm back at work, as you said. I do want to apologize to the listeners if you hear a snoring dog. He's had surgery a week ago with his eye. I know it's actually quite critical, so he's not doing well. And he's here next to me, so bear with him. But I'll do my best to cut him out as much as
also I can. Known as the wife, yeah.
He's listening in the other room. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Sorry, Mrs. Damsgaard.
No,
good stuff. Right. Cheers to have you back, Jesper. Cheers, mate. And the man with all the stats, who would rather take his ex-girlfriend back than any ex-Millwall player, the one and only Stato Stephen. How you doing, Stato?
What a ridiculous introduction that is. that will make more sense to the listeners later. But you've done me there, Joe. You've done me. But I'm not gonna do that back to you. I'm not gonna throw you under the bus. I am lost. I genuinely I didn't on the list of things you could have said. That was literally at the bottom of it.
Well, guys, if you tuned into the show now, you make sure you stick around later. You'll find out the reason why Stato Stephen would rather take an ex-girlfriend back than any ex-Millwall player. So I'll leave that to Stato to explain that later on. And finally, it's our TikTok and Millwall content sensation, the one and only TikTok George. How you doing, George?
Very well, Joe. Very, very well. Buzzing to be back, to be honest here. Buzzing to be back. It's been a few weeks and lots to dissect, lots to talk about going into the international break. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Good stuff. Cheers for being with us, George. So, welcome into the live chat. Thanks for tuning in during the international break, getting your Millwall fix. It now starts. So, I want to say hello. Before I do that, Stato, could you time me and tell me how long it takes from start to finish while I introduce them? Just want to make sure we get it under get a new PB in, can we? The last PB was like 1 minute 42 seconds, I think, weren't it? So let's go for it. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
You time me?
Yeah, go on.
Right, ready, set, go. Good evening, Carl Bracey. How you doing? Chris Brown, how are you, mate? Anthony, hope you're well. Good to see you, Jeff, friend of the show. Jeff Cook, how are you, mate? Alex Ebb, back on time. Dave Turner, how are you? Angelo, you got a flat tire. Oh, mate, sorry to hear that. I'm glad you're with us, though, mate. Mark Murphy, good evening. The lovely Bex, how are you, Bex? Oh, the legend, the man that is John Thorpe. How are you, John? £10 donation, so kind of you, mate. Hope you're well, mate. Leslie, how are you? Hope you're good. Oh, here we go. Edgar's my road to 350 subs. How are you? Leslie, how are you, mate? Hope you're good. Good evening, Rob. How are you? Colin, good to see you. Good to see you, Ryan. Hope you're well. Good to see you. Bobby T in the house. How are you, mate? Millwall Holdings. Hope you're well. Hambo, how are you? Lions Raw, good to see you. Andy Roberts, evening. Andy Herbert, good to see you. Millwall Holdings back again. Sean, hope you're well. And that is it. Boom.
Too long.
Oh. What's the time?
53 seconds. 53 seconds.
Booyakasha. There you go. Under a minute, eh? Oh, there's one more just sneaked in. Hello, chaps. Hello, Sean. Anyway, there you go. So look, guys, we play on Saturday. A bit of a boring game, a little bit of an anticlimax. It's a game we needed to win. Certainly one we couldn't draw. Obviously, it was an early kickoff, 12:30 kickoff at Danish. They finished 1-1, and 2 goals came from errors from one from each side. So, Stato, what was your thoughts on Saturday's game?
Just disappointment, really. I think I thought we were the better team overall, and we just didn't quite make the most of an opportunity to probably win a game that we might look back on and it's an opportunity. That's, as I say, an opportunity miss, but just generally just disappointing, I think.
Yeah, no, nice one, Stato. And coming to you next, George, what was your thoughts on Saturday?
I thought a 1-1 draw was a fair reflection on the game. I thought it was 2 sides, despite being in the top 6. I thought both of them lacked quality. I thought Millwall's decision making in the final third wasn't up to scratch, or wasn't up to par, let's just say. And I thought 1-1 was a pretty fair result. For first half, Millwall were the better side, but second half, I thought Preston grew into it. And in my opinion, I thought they had the better of the opportunities in the second half, brought on some dangerous players off the bench. So all in all, I thought it was a fair reflection, and very forgettable, in my opinion, very forgettable. And I think the international break has come at the right time for Millwall.
Yeah, excellent, and well said there, George. Cheers. And Jesper, your thoughts on Saturday's game and the result? What do you make of that?
Well, I think much of the same what Stephen and George just said. I think for me, just a bit frustrating. I think Preston at home is one of them fixtures when you look at it and think it has to be 3 points, but you have to consider that they are in the top 6 as well for a reason at the moment. They had a lot of injuries as well. I think the manager played the cards quite well. You know, he brought on some decent subs when we didn't, and we were pushed back in the second half when I thought the game was there for the taking in the first half. So as George said, I think 1-1 was probably a fair result. And I think at the end of the game, it was more a sigh of relief that we didn't lose again, you know, after the Birmingham game. So, yeah, a bit of a weird week, you know, and I think it's good that we get a breather now for 2 weeks and come back stronger, because it's going to be a very busy period that we're heading into here in December and January.
Nice one. Cheers for that, Jesper. So we're going back round to yourself again, Stato. Just want to dissect the game, as we often do, speak about the players and the formations and what we sort of did tactically right and wrong. There were changes made before the game. We've been calling for these changes. So Caleb Taylor comes in at centre-back. Tristan Crammer moves and shifts over to the right-back. Camille Negley was used as number 10 rather than out wide. And, of course, Imaku played on the right-hand side. And we did chat about this on recent shows, didn't we? So is Alex Neil a secret chat with Chaps fan? Is he? I don't know. You know, if so, Alex, evening, mate. I hope you're well. But Stato, what's your thoughts on the shifts and the changes that Alex Neil made? Were you happy to see those?
Yeah, I think it was probably the best team we could have put out that was available. That's probably the fairest assumption I think we can give. I know people will argue, myself included, that perhaps Bangura Williams should be getting a little bit more action, considering that we've had our key attacking player now missing in Femi. But I think it's the best team we could have put out. We've been calling for Negley to be playing in the 10. He got an opportunity to do that at home. And I think Taylor, Chris, I believe, is a real advocate of this. I think other friends of the show, Phil, is another one. We've paid £3 million for a centre back, and he's just been sat on the bench. That's not really what Mill will do. We need to see him play. So I think it was the right call to get him in alongside Coops.
Yeah, no, I agree. And George, coming to yourself next, mate. What'd you make of the changes and the lineup? What was your first impression when you saw it? Was you happy with those changes?
Yeah, I think it was a starting 11 which most of us were happy with. We were calling for Caleb Taylor to come in, push Crammer out to right back. We were calling for Negley to play in the 10. We had very limited options in the centre of the park because of Bill's injury. So Del Boy had to come in next to Casper Denore. So I think these were changes to the starting 11 which most of us were happy with and most of us were calling for after the defeat to Birmingham. So overall, I think most of us were happy with the team which started.
Yeah, nice one. Cheers, George. And coming to yourself next, Jesper, with those changes that Alex Mill made, was you happy with the changes that you would have made as well?
I think it's the changes I would have made, definitely. It's good to see Kramer out on the right. As Steven said, when you got Kramer on the right, you could also have had Banker Williams on the right side, further up the pitch, because Kramer brings so much going forward that I don't think you necessarily needed to have Imako as well as the speedy outlet. So that's probably the only position that you could consider changing. But again, we had limited options, so it was there wasn't much. How would you say it? There weren't many players to put out there. So yeah, I guess it was all right, but you could also see that some of the players looked tired in the end. It's a 3-game week again, so it was about for Alex to find a team that he could put out. But I think it's just so good that we get the break now, and I really it doesn't seem like we're getting players back, does it? But I really hope that we will just get a few players back, because we already stretched. And what is it, nine injuries again now in the first team? Another player I would have considered, he wasn't in the team, and I don't know where he's been, because I haven't seen him in the reserves or in the first team, but Jack Howland, I would like to see, because I saw A.T. Matthews was on the bench. I would have liked to see Howland there as well.
Just touching on what Jess was saying there, I think the game as a whole reflected how important it is that Millwall keep their best players fit. Certainly our best attacking players fit, because once you lose these, once you lose Coburn, X, Y, and Z players, all of a sudden then those options become limited all of a sudden in those certain positions. And I mean, we are really, really struggling on the injury front right now. And by the sounds of it, after the game in Alex Neil's press conference, he doesn't seem very confident that many of them will be returning back to full fitness or be available for selection for Portsmouth away. So yeah,
interesting.
It's so important that we keep our best players fit going forward. Absolutely.
Were you in the press conference, George?
I was in his press conference after the game. Yeah.
Any juicy gossips, anything you can share with us and listeners?
Well, the big one, which I'm sure we'll touch on later, the big one was obviously during the game. Within the first 5-10 minutes, there was an article put out or a tweet put out linking Alex Neil to the Middlesbrough job.
Of course, yeah.
Vacant. He quickly turned that down. He had absolutely no Scooby. He took him completely by surprise, and it seems like it's all just agent rumours. So, but yeah, he didn't seem very confident that many players will get back to full fitness straight away. But what the international break does do, it gives us an opportunity to reassess where we are, to get some players closer to full fitness, if not to full fitness, and just take a well-deserved break, because after riding such a high of 4 wins on the bounce, we're sort of in the last week against Oxford, Birmingham, and Preston, we've sort of deteriorated a little bit, So I think it's come at the right time, the international break.
Yeah, no, I have to agree. Sorry, Jesper, you were going to say something there, wouldn't you?
No, I just said in general, missing your best players, and it doesn't matter whether you're Millwall, Man City, or Barcelona. If you don't have your best players ready, you don't set yourself up very well for success, do you? I mean, it's just frustrating, because we seem to just continue down the road that we sort of had, at the back end of last season, where we were also struggling to put out 11 players, and they did ever so well to get so close to the playoffs. So it's just so frustrating that we're here again at the start of the season with the same issues and the same problems again, with so many injuries out. And we've even strengthened our quality in depth, and that's not even enough now to sort of compete at the highest level, I would say. I think right now the team is, I think, performing 80 to 90% of what we could be capable of if we had our best players ready. It's just very frustrating.
I think results stat sort of speaks for itself, really. You see what difference it makes when we've got a lot of the first team players available. When Aziz came back, a few weeks back now, and was a big part of the start of that winning run. When you've got your best players available and you've got almost your best 11 out there with Smallbone as well at the time, it does make a big difference, doesn't it? And I think having that kind of squad depth, it needs to be a depth with quality, not just with B-listers, C-listers almost,
Yeah, I'll go back to the Oxford game just very quickly on that. We were both there, Joe. And in that first 20, 25 minutes, Oxford often had 2 or 3 players around Femi Aziz. And that tells you exactly what other teams in the league think of him. It tells you how good he is for us. And it's no coincidence that of other players, perhaps like your Ballows, your Billy Mitchells, your Smallbones, Nagy, whoever else gets more space, because there's 2 or 3 people marking him. Fast forward that now to Saturday just gone against Preston. And no disrespect to the lads that are playing, and Ballo obviously is a key, still probably the key attacker at the moment, but Amaku doesn't give you that confidence that he's going to have something on an end product. So opposition players, whilst he might have the pace, they're not. Opposition managers aren't thinking, Christ, they've got Idama Amaku on the right. They would be thinking that if it was Femi Aziz, and I think that's the biggest problem. You're missing players for whatever reason, and it is damaging. I think again, Tristan Kramer had an excellent first half. A little bit, just a couple of misplaced passes in the second that almost cost us, but another good game. But opposition managers are looking at it. Probably Paul Heckingbottom is thinking, well, their best centre half by a long way, their best defenders, technically playing out of position. I know he can play right back and I know he's good enough, but he's been so good at centre back, but we have to change it. So opposition managers are looking at it going, well, we're playing Millwall at a time when they're a little bit weaker, and it's perhaps we're at a disadvantage because other managers know how we're going to set up and know that we're limited in what we can do.
No, a very, very good point. Excellent point there. And George, just coming to yourself next, mate, with regards to, I guess that back four, do you feel it clicked? I mean, Sturge comes in for Joe Bryan, which I think was probably a right decision as well, going by the last performance. But what did you make of that back four with Caleb Taylor coming in? He had a little bit of criticism, didn't he, from Alex Neil? I think he mentioned that he felt he could be a little bit more, I can't remember what the word was, but a little bit more assertive at the back. He needs to see that side of it, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, the back four which we put out was ultimately the best available defence we had. He had to change something. I thought both fullbacks against Birmingham just got absolutely destroyed in the transitions and didn't offer anything going forward. And bless Wes Harden, but Tristan Kramer had to go out to right back. He had to go out to right back. I know he's been really good at centre half. He's arguably been our best player of the season, but he had to go out to right back, which then brought Taylor in, who of course has been bought for a substantial amount of money and has barely seen any minutes in the league. So, and I thought he played quite well. I thought with him and Cooper, they're very quite similar. They're both quite tall, maybe not the quickest. But
do you see that being an issue, George? You know, Alex Mills mentioned about having a mobile centre back next to Cooper. He had Tanganga, and then obviously he had Tristan Kramer, which is the reason why he played them there. Yeah. Do you feel that we lacked a little bit of mobility and pace at back? I mean, was Taylor that bad? I don't think we were caught out for pace, would you say?
No, I don't. I think Caleb Taylor is a good centre back, and I think he's more than good enough to play in a Millwall team. I think the reason why Alex Neil hasn't played them together or doesn't fancy maybe playing them together is because they are similar types of profile centre back, whereas Kramer and Cooper, when they play together, anything in the air or you know, Cooper heads it out or he clears it, anything down the channels or down the middle, Kramer deals with it because he's quicker, he's slightly more mobile. So then all of a sudden you've got a good partnership because you've got two different profiles of centre backs. Whereas Cooper and Taylor are very much the same profile. So that's probably why that. And obviously the Kramer and Cooper playing together have been really good. But Taylor, I thought, fitted in on Saturday, and I thought he played well. I mean, it certainly wasn't his fault for the goal. It was. I thought he was solid. And Tristan Kramer, I mean, he's been unbelievable all season. Doesn't matter where you put him. I reckon we can put him up front, and he'll put in a 9 out of 10 performance. So yeah, I thought it was the best which we could have gone with on Saturday in terms of the defence.
Yeah, nice one. Cheers for that. Does anyone else want to add to the Taylor coming in situation? I don't know if you've got any opinions on that, Stato or Jesper.
Well, if I can just start, I think he did all right. You know, I think considering it was his first start for the club, I think he did all right. He was up against Michael Smith, you know, a very experienced striker in this league and also at League One level. You know, he knows the tricks. You know, he knows the dark arts as well. And I guess with Taylor only being 22, that's something he needs to learn as well. I think with Coops and Taylor, it can work. I think it all depends on how you set up your defensive line. You know, under Joe Edwards, we wanted to push everyone very high up, you know, and we will get caught out with long balls over the top. I don't think we play that with Alex Neil. We have a slightly deeper line, which means that we can, I think, still allow to play the likes of Caleb and Coops together without being caught out. You got Tristan and Sturge, you know, as wing backs, as the quick ones. So I still think it could work. And as I wrote to you, Joe, or in the chat, you know, we had Paul Robinson and Darren Ward, you know, in central defense in the past. Not the quickest of guys, but they were solid, and the way we played just fitted those two. So I guess it all depends on how you set up as a team, how you defend, how you position yourself as central defenders. I still think it can work.
Yeah.
Just on that, I'm going to slightly disagree with Jesper there on Taylor's performance. I actually thought that Michael Smith targeted Caleb Taylor. He didn't want anything to do with Jake Cooper. If you look in that second half, all of that sort of the diags, the balls from the goalkeeper were going to what would have been our right hand side rather than our left hand side. And I think that Smith, I don't want to say he used the word bullied him, because I don't think he necessarily had chances on goal for them, but he was the one that they wanted to get after. They didn't want nothing to do with Coops. And
interesting that John agrees with their stat as well, and the comments with targeting avoided Coopers. Yeah.
I think it's an experience thing, and it's one of those, isn't it, where you can't be too harsh on players. He's making his first, I believe it's his first league start, and he's done a job at Palace. He did pretty well that night, and he's got to learn. He's going to have to learn pretty quickly, because if we've invested in him, whether he's going to be the Cooper replacement, whether he's going to be the long-term right-hand side centre back, he's going to be here for quite a while. So I think he certainly needs to. I can't remember which one of you said was about the kind of the dark arts. He probably needs to be a little bit more clever, but he has to expect that not many centre forwards, not many centre back, anybody, no one is really going to go up against Jake Cooper. They're not going to do it because he's so big. Those kind of 50-50 challenges. So he is going to be the one, if he is going to play next to him, that they're going to go after. So I think certainly he had a reasonable game, but probably needs to kind of toughen up a little bit longer term.
Yeah, that's a great comments from all you guys, and I agree with what you're saying. And my personal opinion was, I just felt that he's about 6'5", I think. Caleb Taylor, he's a big unit, and in previous games where I've seen Cooper, what Cooper's like in the air, he's very commanding, he wins every header. And I felt, to be fair to Tristan Crammer, he did that also. Whenever there's any aerial duels, he tends to win that. I just felt Caleb Taylor fell short quite often. I know he's up against Smith, who's an old-fashioned centre-forward, target man, what you want to call it. But I think I kind of agree with what Alex Neil was saying there. You need to show a little bit more aggression, a little bit more of that determination to kind of win those duels. And maybe it will come. He's only, 21, 22 years of age. So he's a young defender. He'll learn, and what a better person to learn from Jake Cooper alongside him. If he could bring that part to his game.
Joe, let's not forget it was his first start at home. You're desperate to do well in your first game, isn't it? There has to be some nerves as well. So he didn't do bad at all. I'm just saying that I understand where the comments were coming from. At the same time, he did ever so well against Crystal Palace. So I've got faith in him that he can be a really, really good defender for us.
Yeah, excellent point. And just to stay with yourself for a second, what do you make of Max Crocombe in goal? I mean, obviously, since he came in for Bender, everyone's saying, he's the right choice. I think we remember seeing an old poll a while ago where I think he won 94% of the poll over Bender to be in the sticks. And he's had a few good games, but the last sort of few games, if you like, he's been a little bit sort of unsure, isn't he, in his goalkeeping duties. What do you make of his performance on Saturday?
I think as a Dane, I think I'm compelled to say I miss Lucas. I'm really, I really want him back. I think he has to be first choice when he's back, right? I think this was the first game with Max where I was a bit insecure about his performance, where I thought sometimes things would be, he was being a bit too nonchalant with certain things, especially the touch in the first half where we nearly concede again because he takes too long to kick the ball away. We already had a sniff from about that, against QPR when he sort of, I think it was who was the winger in that game? Was it Smith as well? I think it was, who had a shot, that hit the bar and went over, and he just sort of he sort of knew that it was going over. So I think he's done all right. He hasn't done too bad, but I can see elements why maybe he hasn't played at a higher level before now. So all I would say is I'm happy when Lucas is back, but I think for now, he stays between the sticks, doesn't he, Max? Because I don't see why Bender should come in and replace him now. So yeah, I think he did all right, and he's still quite assertive. He's still a big unit. You know, he covers the goal very well. He had some good saves, first half, second half. So yeah, I think he did all right. Yeah, personally.
Nice one. Cheers, Jesper. Coming to your next Stato, what did you make of Crocombe's performance on Saturday? He's a little bit nervy with that kind of back pass, didn't he? Where not just that one, the one where he took a touch we probably shouldn't have and should have cleared it, and then he got caught out again there, didn't he?
He did. That taking the touch was absolutely ridiculous because he'd just seen the opposition goalkeeper do this to try and do something similar and get caught out by it. You at that point, I know you can't always. It's not always the same, but just put your foot through it, get rid of it, and avoid any kind of doubt. I actually think Crocombe. Again, I don't know if I was watching a different game to you guys, but I actually thought he had quite a good game. But he was voted on a couple of the apps that I had a look while you guys were just talking about him. He was voted one of our better players on Saturday. 5 saves in the game, which that's pretty good for a goalkeeper. 6 shots on target. The goal, I don't think he can do anything about. I'm sure we'll come on to it, but I don't think we can expect him to recover the mistake that Negley made. I think the only thing I would say is I agree with Jesper that you can probably see why it's only now that he's getting to play at this level of football. I think there's certainly a little bit of not nervousness, but I think perhaps inexperience in the sense of he hasn't played an awful lot of games. He's been a goalkeeper for a long time, but he hasn't played lots and lots of football. So I think that's certainly creeping in. Would I have him over Stephen Bender? 100%. I don't think Alex Neil will do that. I think Bender will be back in when he's fit. Which I think we're led to believe might be just after the international break. But much like Jesper, I am also in the camp. I cannot wait for Lucas Jensen to be back in the sticks, because I think he's just gives you, hopefully his injury doesn't hamper him and he comes back how we sort of remember him. But I think he just gives us a little bit more stability, and the back line would feed off of that as well.
Awesome. Cheers to that, Stato. And George, just want to get your opinion. I asked you on Crocombe. There was an error, not his error, obviously it's Negley, which we'll talk about in a moment or so, but he didn't deal with that one. And obviously the back pass, he looked a little bit sort of dodgy. I think in recent games, I think he's made a couple of little small errors. His kicking hasn't been great either. What do you put it down to? It's a bit of a weird one, isn't it?
I remember when he came to the club from Burton Albion, and there was Burton Albion fans saying he's a good shot stopper, but his kicking, his distribution has never been particularly good. He's obviously never played at this level before, and this will probably be the highest level he ever plays at, despite being an international for New Zealand. But in the present moment of time, if you look what we've got, he's definitely our best option. Or he's our only option, really, because Bender's out injured. But even so, I still think he's better than Bender. But like Jesper said, we are absolutely hoping and praying that Lucas Jensen can become fit and injury free very, very quickly. Hopefully in the new year, or at least the end of December, because he is by far and away the best goalkeeper at the football club, as we know, and he is the number one.
Yeah, well, let's hope we get back. There's still no definite answer as to when he's available. That they mentioned end of this month, beginning of December. I mean, it could even be January by the time he's actually allowed to sort of play properly between the sticks, of course, But come to yourself, Stato, first this time. What do you make of Negley? Obviously, we've been crying out for him to play number 10 role for the last few weeks. And we kind of said, he's a different player when he plays in the 10 compared to him playing the wing. A lot of fans, and ourselves included, saying some of us that he's not a winger. Why is he playing out there? Despite him playing as a winger for many seasons for his previous club in Holland, of course, in the Dutch league. What did you make of his performance at number 10? I mean, okay, he made an error, which we can discuss as well. What did you make of his overall performance?
I think he is suffering massively with, I think, the number of changes we make and not actually being able to settle in a position that actually suits him. I think if you look at the again, go back to Oxford, that second half, I thought he was really, really good. He just seemed to find another level in that second half when he got moved into the 10 and looked the better player. You're thinking, right, brilliant. We're going to stick with that. We might need to play him because Aziz is out, and then we go to Birmingham. He's chucked wide left, which is he's not played there at all for us. And then comes back into the 10. I think he's not settled at all. I don't think it's also helped with Negley that he got an injury early into coming to the football club, so he hasn't played that much football, and I think that's kind of a little bit of an issue. But he just, as soon as he plays that back pass, I said it to my dad and a couple of people that sit around us. His game was completely ruined because as soon as he did anything wrong, give the ball away, go down the dead end, anything, take a bad set piece, the fans were on his back. I don't blame them. I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but he was completely drained of any momentum, and it was a poor mistake. I don't know if you guys have watched it back. He looks up. He touches the ball, he looks up, and he still plays the pass. What he was doing, I have no idea, but it's just completely killed any momentum. And he's now under massive, massive pressure because when we go to Portsmouth, and I'm sure we'll come on to it, when we go there, he's probably going to play due to the numbers and who we've got available. And he's under pressure from ball one, and that's a little bit of a problem.
Great great point there, Stato. And George, coming to yourself next. What do you make of Negley's performance? Obviously, we discussed the error as well, but what do you make of his overall performance and how he played on Saturday?
Yeah, someone said it in the chat that despite the obvious mistake for their goal, him in the number 10 position, I actually thought he did okay. I thought he links up play quite well. I thought he got stuck in. He just needs a consistent run of games, doesn't he? Which at the moment, because we've sort of been chopping and changing a little bit in the attacking areas, he hasn't really had. He's been playing a lot out wide, which I don't think is his best position anyways. I think he's much more suited to certainly in that number 10 position, but he needs a run of games. Like Stato said, he needs a run of games in the number 10 position. And then you can judge him maybe off 5 or 6 games. But the mistake was it was always going to be tough for him to come back for it. And also now the fans have got this perception in their heads now that Negley's useless, he's lazy, he's a luxury player, he's not a grafter, etc. But I would say, listen, give him a little bit of time, give him 5 to 6 games. He's still a young player in a foreign league for him. Where it is completely different to the Eredivisie in the sense that it's a lot more physical, the Championship, and with the quality on top as well. So he's showing glimpses so far in his middle career. He just has to play in the number 10 position regularly on a consistent basis now.
No, I totally agree. And just come to yourself, mate, on Negley. I mean, have you seen anything in his game? Does he look a different player in a 10 to you? What do you make of his performance on Saturday?
I think I'm just going to agree with everyone here. No, I think he did all right. We can talk about certain players within the team, where we can think, okay, is it time to go? Is he not good enough, etc. So I think there's a player in Negley, and like George said, I think he needs a run of games. Negley is the type of player for me who needs to get on the ball. He needs to have the ball a lot. He needs to have a lot of touches. He needs to go, to grow into the game. He's not sort of your winger who can just, get the ball, put a cross in, or take on a wing back and go past him. He doesn't have that kind of skill, but he needs to get on the ball and be involved a lot, So whether he plays in the 10 or whether he plays as an inverted winger on the right, I think it's indifferent for me. If he does play on the right, you need a Tristan Kramer or you need a new right back who can bomb forward and assist him, But I think he did all right, and he had a good chance as well. He could have scored. It's still early in his career. If we talk about Kasper, for instance, I think after the first season he had in England, people were still like, is he up for it? Is he cut out for English football? And he proved everyone wrong in the second season. And now it could be the same with Camille. I'm not going to write him off. There are other players where I'm thinking we can ship them off. Camille is not one of them. I know there's one in our group who won't agree with me, but I'll keep him in there, and hopefully he can grow as the season progresses and he can get better. So I don't think he has had the worst start to his career, but obviously the back pass on Saturday doesn't help. But it can happen to anyone. Happened to Tristan as well against Coventry. Lose the ball, and then he was also rattled for half an hour and most of the game. So let's just accept that mistakes happen. He didn't do it on purpose, and I'm sure he will do everything to make up for it when we go down to Portsmouth in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, excellent point. Just, and you also made a very, very good point with regards to Kasper as well. You're right. I think the first season he joined, he took him a while to adapt to English football. I don't think he realised the speed, the strength of the Championship, how difficult it is to play, and he made different. Yeah, he made changes into his body, to his physique. Done lots of strengthening work, balance work, which I know he did. And you do wonder, can Negley do the same sort of thing? He certainly looks a better player for me in the middle. Whenever I see him play in the middle, I just think he links up better. He seems to have this air of confidence, little 1-2s, little give and goes, and he links up very much better with the Ivanovic up front, more than say Kundal does. There always seems to be a massive gap between our midfield and Ivanovic, where I think he likes to play a little bit more closer to the players and link up with little 1-2, little passes. So who's to say that he could come on, have a great career for us? But as you guys said, I'm not sure, I think it's George said it, you put at least 5 or 6 games. Give him those 5 or 6 games in that number 10 role, and let him find his path, let him find his feet, and I'm sure he'll get there. George, come to yourself this time. What did you make of Casper De Norre's performance? I think he won man of the match, didn't he? I believe for his performance. Very unlucky not to get a goal, but he battled well. I think it was a game that I think he would have been rested for had Billy been fit and available, because obviously Billy wasn't. He was asked to start again. So that's quite a lot from a player who was off injured for quite some time to come back and play as many games as he has done, but still keep the performance levels up to the highest he can.
Yeah, very, very important player for us. I mean, I personally thought he was the best player on the park Saturday. I think they gave over the tunnel, they gave Zach Sturge man of the match.
Yeah. Is that done by the sponsors, George?
I think it's done by the match sponsor. The match sponsor
right,
chooses, and they give him man of the match. And I thought Sturge was good, but I personally picked Bador from a million miles away. I thought he was the best player on the park. He's just a whole package, isn't he? And like you said, coming back from injury, how he's played this many minutes in such a short period of time. But his short passing, his long passing range is good. He gets involved, he gets stuck in, he's physical. And he can also get on the end of things as well. And yeah, you're saying lucky maybe not to score, but so far this season. But I say he's very, very important for us. And I think him and Billy, I think is a toss up really. Who's our best central midfielder? But I think Casper. I think he's brilliant.
Nice one. Cheers, George. Yeah, I mean, I think that they're two very, very important players, very different players, aren't they, Jesper, Billy and Casper, but offer us a lot, and we've got them both available. It makes a big difference to our starting 11. But what did you make of Casper's performance on Saturday?
Casper has to be one of the first one on the team sheet, doesn't he? I mean, he's been, after the first season, he's been so consistent. I mean, okay, apart from the Birmingham game, but everyone was shit in that game, so we can't really account for that one. But his game has improved so much, and he's just doing everything as a central midfielder should. He covers so much ground. He's got a good passing range. He's rarely injured. He's had a few nickels here and there, but and I would even say, could he be captain material? We often discuss, is Coops the right one? Casper's in the center of the park. To me, it would make sense maybe to have a look at it, because I just feel his presence is just so important for us being successful. Whenever he's on the pitch, I feel like we can get a result, and he makes things tick on the pitch. So yeah, very important player for us, and one who's improved massively. And I think someone mentioned in the comments he needs to get a new contract, doesn't he? Because I also believe that is it up next summer, or is it the year after? Or?
Yeah, I think they've got. Is it a year? Extension, the club can
extend it,
activate it or extend it. I'm not sure how it works. But I believe, I don't know whether that's true or not. But certainly he's 28 years of age. You like to think he's got the next couple of years, 2-3 years, probably going to be the best sort of years of his life. Normally between 28 and 30 for midfielders, usually a peak time for your player. So hopefully he's got his best years over the next sort of season or two. But to tie him down to a nice sort of 3-year or 4-year contract wouldn't be a bad option at the moment. Stato, come to yourself next. And Ian Am makes a really good point here. Del Boy lets Casper get a lot more freedom to attack. I felt that, on Saturday, that Casper was driving forward the ball quite often. You see him running with the ball, playing little passes. As George said, he was hitting those depth of the De Bruyne passes as well, and making things sort of work. But he also does the nasty stuff, the kind of having to tackle, intercept, win the ball, and be that kind of battler, which you need from a complete midfielder, don't you?
He's our most important player, in my opinion. He keeps us ticking. I've said it so many times. He gets us. He's learned what it means to play for Millwall, and coming from abroad, that's not an easy thing to do. I don't think. It's you say longevity in Coops and Lenny, but I think Kasper is right up there with someone who can lead the dressing room. Jesper's shout of being captain, certainly, perhaps if Cooper was ever to leave or something was to happen, I certainly think that we could have a look at Kasper. Although I think Tristan Crammer might have something to say about that. But he was unlucky not to score in the second half. Nice little shift on the edge of the box and kind of sort of whistling past the post, but he's very, very good, Kasper. It's funny that we talk about all these number 10s. He actually could be a really good number 10. He really could, in my opinion, but we need him in the centre of midfield. We've got other players that we've brought in to do that job. So I think that comment was right. I think Del Boy and Billy, to be fair as well, they both allow him to have a little bit more freedom, and clearly he enjoys that. You can tell by the way he plays his football.
Yeah, great point. And Stato, I love the point you made before at the very, very start. He gets us. He knows what it's like to become a Millwall player. And I do wonder how and why. And I think a lot of that stems from his relationship with George Saville in the early days. Obviously, he partners George Saville for many, many games at midfield. I think he worked very closely with him. I think he respected George Saville, the way he was as a person, how he kind of carried himself in the changing room. And I think one of the things that Kasper made sure of doing when Saville left was to be that sort of that presence on the pitch midfield, to talk to the players, to organise. You hear his voice. He's got a distinctive voice when he shouts on the pitch, and Kasper. And you can hear him shouting, barking orders and telling what to do and stuff. So I think he gets it, but he also knows the importance that you can't just be a good player technically on the ball. You've got to do a lot of that and put a shift in off the ball, don't you?
I think the other person who deserves a little bit of credit is actually also Neil Harris. Because much like, and we're going to come on to this player, I'm sure, later on, Joe, when we talk about ex-players, but Romain Esse and Kasper De Norre, you look at those two back end of when Harris come into the club, and you would say they were our better players, and neither of them were being picked because Harris wanted work rate, he wanted determination, he wanted someone who would run through a brick wall for him, and neither of those two players showed signs of doing it. However, fast forward, both of them were in the first names on the team sheet the following season, and now you're seeing that Kasper has taken that. He's taken that advice on board from someone who obviously got what it took to play for us, and he's taken it to the next level. He is performing for one under Joe Edwards and then Neil Harris, and then and now Alex Neil. He just gets it, and he's taken that on board. And it's no coincidence that the fans absolutely love him. We all talk about him, very, very positively. Everyone in the ground talks about him positively. When he's not playing, everyone kind of thinks, "Oh no, where's Kasper?" type thing. And he's just got better and better. He really has.
I love that. And just the comment there as well. Kasper's intelligent play, talks to Alex Neil discussing gameplay. I've noticed that quite a lot. He has those sort of one-to-one conversations, even after the game when they're doing a bit of a lap, faking the fans. You see Alex Neil, him chatting away, talk about stuff, And it's interesting because I think when Neil Harris signed him, he wasn't. Or sorry, was it Gary Rowett signed him?
Gary Rowett, yeah.
And then Neil Harris inherited him. He wasn't a Neil Harris sort of player, and he was out of favour a little bit. But I think sooner or later, Kasper won Neil over. He showed we can do the dark sides and do the hard stuff, and he won him over, and he really liked him, warmed to him. The same thing with Joe Edwards, of course, weren't they, before that, I believe. And then again, obviously, now with Alex Neil, it's interesting that a lot of managers do kind of gravitate towards him. He must be probably the perfect sort of player to kind of coach and manage, because he does what you ask him to do on the pitch. He doesn't seem like he's doesn't have any bad antics off the field. He's very rarely injured. He works hard, So a great asset to have in our club. And hopefully, as the guys mentioned in the chat as well, a player we could try and tie down to a long contract. And hopefully the club can get that sorted soon, can't they?
Well, if they don't, I'm pretty sure that there'd be plenty of suitors that, whether it be in the Premier League or another Championship club, that would be willing to snap him up. So they need to do something quickly.
Excellent. And I know how much he loves it at Millwall. He loves the fans, loves the club. He loves everything about his life over here at the moment. So hopefully the club does the right thing and announces a new contract offer to him soon. So that'd be good. want to come to yourself now, just to start this one off. What did you make of Ivanovic, of course? I mean, still a little bit quiet. I mean, I know he scored that goal, great pressing, on his part. But what did you make of his overall performance? And do you feel it's a little bit unfair on us to criticise him? Is there been a lack of service, I think, in his defence?
I think you need to look at the start of the season and then where we are now. I think at the start of the season, there could definitely be an argument that he looked a bit, I wouldn't say lazy, but that his head was turned, that he wasn't really 100%, I wouldn't say committed, but he wasn't really 100% focused on his job at Millwall. Whether that's because he changed agency or whatever, and the rumors were flying right, left, center about Parma and this and that club in Italy, etc. I think now what we're seeing is more of a frustrated Ivanovic who really wants to perform, but is struggling maybe to get the chances that he needs to score goals. I'm happy he got the goal on Saturday. It was a mistake from the goalkeeper, but you need to search as well. You need to hunt down these balls in order to get the opportunity to score. So fair play to him. As Steve mentioned, that goal or that pass from Kasper could have been a really, really good goal where he slots it in and he sort of slips on the ball.
Did he take a touch there, Jesper? Did he need a touch?
I think he tries
hard to see it.
He tries to take it with his right foot, so he sort of gets stuck under his foot, and then he slips, and the ball runs away from him. If he takes it with his left foot, maybe is a different story. But could have been a really good goal. No, I think I don't want to be too harsh on him. It's that could also be a sort of a second season syndrome. He was flying high late last season, now struggling for goals. But with every striker, sometimes goals they come in patches. And I just hope that he can kick on now and continue, after his goal against Preston, that he can continue down at Portsmouth, where he also scored last season. And it's difficult for him. He's a young kid. He has to play on his own. Last season, when he played well, we played two up top, which for some reason hasn't worked for us this season. So has had to adapt to a few things as well. And I think he only turned 20 this season, didn't he? Or moved away from home last summer, and there can be personal factors as well playing a part here. So I won't be too harsh on him. I think there's still a good player in him, and but like any other striker, he needs chances, doesn't he? He needs service up front, and I think that's where we're struggling as well. We've had quite a few games where we haven't scored goals, and that's all over the pitch. That's not just Ivanovic. If we take Femi out of the equation, our top scorer is 2 goals, isn't it? So. And that's including him, Neckley, and I think Coops. So frustrating. I think I would use the word frustrating for him this season. But I think he's doing what he can to get back to where he was, at the end of last season.
Nice one. Cheers, Jesper. And then coming to yourself, Stato. A lot of fans, I kept this comment up here from Billy Smith. He said he thought BFS had his best game in a while. His work rate on Saturday was very good. Unlucky not to get a second goal. He certainly showed a lot more battling, didn't he, on Saturday? He's put himself about a little bit more aggressive, which is what you want to see from the Mitrovic sort of style, don't we?
What I love about doing this podcast and the comments and stuff is just differences. Football, everyone's got a different opinion, and
absolutely.
I agree with the comment you just put up. I actually thought he had quite a good game. I get that. I understand that the frustration with him, and he hasn't scored the goals. But if you look at isolated on Saturday, the touch in the box, he probably should do better rather than fall over the ball. But he does earn us the goal. I know it's a mistake, and I think Chris Brown put up a brilliant comment about anyone could have scored the goal, but he's put the keeper under pressure. He's worked hard to get himself in that position. And I thought second half, as you said, Joe, he did battle. He was really unlucky not to score a second. It was a great save from their goalkeeper. Absolutely brilliant to keep that out at the near post. And I think he just the goal at QPR, I thought we were going to see that from him after that, but it didn't quite happen. But when he scored on Saturday, he did look hungry. He did look like he was battling. He a couple of comments saying he took a knock. He did, and it looked like for all the money in the world. I think Bex, she's in the chat, but it was right down near her and said he's done, he's finished. Like he's going to have to go off. But he got back up. He did battle. I think and I want to, if we can later, come back onto Macaulay Langstaff, but I think Alex Neil was desperate to not switch the two of them. He wanted Ivanovic to stay on the pitch. So I think he showed glimpses of hunger and desire that we haven't quite seen. I agree that his head possibly was turned at the start of the season, and it did cause a little bit of an issue. But I really hope, and you don't want to put too much pressure on players, but I really hope that this goal, the celebration, I think, was telling that, you know, he wants to be the main man. He wants to be the one that the fans adore, the main striker. I just hope that it really does give him that boost to push on a little bit now. And I think it will, but I don't want to overdo it, because it is only one performance to go off of.
Awesome. Cheers, Stato. Steve, Disco Steve just says, here's one for you. If the BF scores 2 at Pompey, it puts him on 4 in 16. So 1 in 4, not a bad return. Things could hopefully will change very quickly.
It's just like, sorry, Joe, just on that quickly. It's just like Femi. Femi took 4 chances in 4 games. He ends up being, someone said in the chat earlier, the best player in the championship at the moment. If Ivanovic scores 4 in 4, he suddenly becomes the hottest prospect again. Yeah, so absolutely. You never know.
Good point. George, coming to yourself as well. Obviously, I don't know about you, what your thoughts were, whether you saw an improvement in him on Saturday, certainly a bit more work rate and determination. And is there an argument as well that, you know, he's playing in a lone striker role, perhaps when we saw the best of him last season when he was playing alongside Josh Coburn. And, you know, Josh Coburn did a lot of the donkey work, you know, with regards to sort of winning headers, you know, holding the ball up, which allowed Ivanovic to kind of like almost play off the shoulder a little bit more of the forwards, of the defenders, sorry. What did you make of his performance on Saturday?
Yeah, it's a strange one, really, because he definitely played better in a front two when he was up front with Coburn towards the back end of last season. This season, he's been playing much more as a lone striker. And it's interesting because you go back to this time last year when Neil Harris was in charge. Neil Harris wasn't having Ivanovic up front as a lone striker, was he?
That's right. Yeah.
Maybe, you know, 11, 12 months later, we're now looking at it and going, well, maybe Neil Harris was right all along. Maybe Ivanovic doesn't quite work, or maybe he's not quite ready to be a lone striker in the championship. Potentially, I'm just throwing it out there. But it's fair to say Ivanovic hasn't arrived to the party yet, has he? He's still pre-drinking, let's have it right. I mean, he's not quite there yet. But I think the goal on Saturday was desperately needed. It was so important for him, and you'd hope now after the international break he'll kick on now. Portsmouth away is a good opportunity. He scored there last season, didn't he? So it's a good opportunity for him to now kick on. But he desperately needed a goal, and he earned his luck. I thought he earned his luck because he battled hard throughout the game. The referee didn't give him any decisions at all. I mean, He's going up against 3 massive, lumpy Preston centre backs, and he's had a tough time. He's had to work hard. He's had to put his body about physically, and say he got his luck in the end just by pressing down the goalkeeper, and say it was massively needed for his confidence and certainly going forward.
Good. Excellent. Cheers, guys. Just very quick one. John C says, are you going to discuss the free agents on the chat? Being on X, talk about Bamford and Morsey being available. I don't know what your thoughts are on Bamford. I understand, as far as I understand it, he wants to stay up in Yorkshire. I think he's settled there. He's got a family there. Doesn't want to leave Yorkshire. So I think that kind of rules us out a little bit on that one. We certainly do need some more ammunition up front at the moment. We seem to lack that kind of striker competition. I know we've got Coburn, who's obviously come back from injury, but I don't know about you guys, but the fact that Langstaff comes on and they play him on the left wing on Saturday, which I don't know what the hell that was about. He played today for the under-21s, and AJ Matthews scored 2, he didn't score any. You know, that just says it all, doesn't it, really, you know?
I would rather give AJ Matthews a run of 6 or 7 games than ever look at a free agent at this point, especially Patrick Bamford. I would rather let Matthews. He's scoring goals for the 21s. Okay, it is different. I understand that, but I would genuinely, any of the strikers we've got in the 21, Zach Lovelace on one leg, literally anybody other than because there's a comment, free agent, they're not training as hard, they're not match fit per se. So by the time they are ready to go, you've probably got Coburn back, and you probably the squad's probably got stronger again. So
or in 6 to 8 games time, you then got the transfer window coming around. So
yeah, exactly.
So I think the free agent market is not something we should be looking at. I do agree.
But you do have to agree that a 32-year-old striker with championship pedigree and injury prone, he's got all the right, stats to be a Millwall player, doesn't he?
Could be a Millwall legend, isn't he? Yeah, exactly.
He could be.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't touch him, at all. And it wouldn't fit our model now, would it? What we've started bringing in a 32-year-old who's going to be demanding, high wages as well.
And Walleye makes an excellent point there as well. Free agents, 2 high wages and these 6 to 8 games to get match fit. I mean, who remembers Gary Taylor Fletcher when we signed him on a free agent? It took him about 2 months, just to shed half a stone, and even then he wasn't,
He's in the Hall of Fame now, isn't he? Down to the den, isn't he?
Oh God, yeah.
I think there's you talk. It depends on it's a generational thing. I think there's a lot of people, including our sort of very own Ben Green, who is FM antics, that the free agent market is something that certainly is an element of that game. And I think people look at that and go, well, we can, how does that translate into real life? And I think it's just something that people go to as it is an option, but realistically, in terms of everything we're trying to do as a club and everything we're trying to do with developing young players, it just goes completely against the grain for me.
Very true. Very good point. So I guess, that leaves us in a situation come January, what are the areas of improvement as such? I mean, I put a poll up earlier today. We sort of looked at, there's a part, I'll share it with you guys now just to kind of show you what I mean. Where are we? The question was, if Romain Esse was available on loan, would you take him? And surprisingly, the fan base were kind of slightly split. I mean, slightly in favour of his, but it wasn't like everyone's saying yes, let's get him back. 56% said yes, 44% said no. Again, there's no truth in this whatsoever. There's no rumours. It's just something that's been brought up as a debate, if you like. But would you take Romain Esse on a loan? He's not getting any minutes at the moment, guys, for Palace. We know what he can do. I'm just thinking, if we had Romain Esse now with Aziz out injured, we wouldn't feel like we're losing anything on that right side to have him come in as a winger. And we could probably rotate players. We could probably rotate Ballo as well, give him a rest sometimes, to have 3 of those kind of wingers at that kind of level, that ability. What do you make of that? Are you for or against it? I don't know what's going first.
I'll go first. I've always been on the side that I am for it. I would have him back. Listen, they say never go back to an ex, but I do think, and I also do believe that he's probably not the answer to what we need right here, right now, which is what Millwall need: a striker, don't we? Because we don't score enough goals, 17 goals in 15 games. Millwall need to prioritise a striker and probably a right back. So he's not the priority in that aspect, but his move to Crystal Palace has been so poorly managed, and it's turned out to be a great deal for Millwall, of course, because we've got great money for him, which we've now invested into the team, and now we're much better on and off the pitch. But to have him back on loan for 6 months, I'm not against it. I'm not against it, but I see the argument of why people are against it, because we're developing another player is what we're doing. He's not the priority in what we need right here, right now. The priority should be other positions. And he plays for Crystal Palace Football Club, and we don't like Crystal Palace. So I get it.
And to add to that, George, I guess it does hamper the development, as Alex said, the likes of RBW's development as well, and other players that are trying to break through, the likes of Kendall, the likes of Howland as well. Guys, in the chat, put a 1 if you'd be happy to see Romain Esse come back in January on loan, and put a 2 if you're against the idea. It'd be interesting to see what you guys think as well. How about yourself, Jess? What's your thoughts on that?
I thought initially it could be interesting to get him back because he was so good when he left. But when I thought about it, we've got Jack Howland, we got RBW, we got Camille Neckley, who are not the same, but they're quite similar type of players. So it was just hamper maybe the progression of other players in the club, and he would then leave the club anyway in the summer. So I think there are positions and types of players that I would rather bring in than bringing Esse back for now. If he were to become available in the summer, and depending on how a squad would look like, maybe I would have a look at it again, because I think he is a good player. But I think for now, I would say no. There would be other positions. If we were to bring in a lone player, I would look at the striker position, because we got younger strikers coming up in terms of AJ, and we got Lovelace, etc. They could possibly be players that we would see more of in this, from next season. But to cover a hole where we are really lacking in terms of depth, I would look at a loan in January for a striker. But to go back to your question, no, I would not have Romain Esse back here in January on loan.
So you wouldn't. So George,
no,
you're a no. George, are you a yes?
I'm a yes. Yes.
I'm a yes as well. So that's 2 votes for us, 1 against. Stato, are you going for a yes or no? What's your opinion on Romain Esse?
You absolutely know what my answer is on Romain Esse. Your comment.
I know how you treat your ex-girlfriends. Okay, so how do you treat your ex-footballers, ex-footballers?
Right. Let's have it right. Romain Esse was quality when he played for us. He was light years ahead of any of the players in our team. Right. However, I don't think we can ever sell a player to Crystal Palace and then have them back on loan and develop a player for them. He's absolutely out the door at Palace. That Glasner can't stand him. There's no, he's not being played. He's got no, they're going to have, I think they've got a few players going out for the African Cup of Nations. He's probably still not going to get any game time. So we'd be helping them out. In the cup tie, the FA Cup tie, he was tapping the badge, giving it all to Biggin in a Crystal Palace shirt right in front of us. I'm sorry, but this business, I know you talk about ex-girlfriends and ex-players. There are certain ex-players I would potentially have had back over the years, but Romain Esse, for me, we've taken the money, we got a fantastic deal, and much like the boys have said, we need a right back, we need a striker, and if we're going to bring in a winger on loan, I want a winger with pace. I don't want another tricky type, a tricky type player. We've got enough of those. And the last thing, it's just one of those where we already complain that Reece Bangura-Williams isn't getting any game time. We want. I think Jesper said at the start, correct me if I'm wrong, that he wondered where Jack Howland was on Saturday and not getting an opportunity. Both players that play in attacking areas, yet we want to bring in someone who made the decision to leave the club, which is looking more and more like a poor decision, because he looks like he's going to be shipped out on loan somewhere else. Not for me. Sorry, I just can't get on board with it.
Okay, so that's 2-4-2 against. So again, that poll is quite split. 50-50, you could call it. I'd be interested what you guys think in the chat. So again, I know if you could add these up very quickly. So we've got a 1 there from Jonathan, got a 2 there from Roger, got a 2.
Hold on, one second. I'll go through it in the comments.
Yeah. Okay. 2. Yeah. We've got a 1 there from Andy, 2 for War Lion. We've got 2 for Chris Brown. 2. I don't know. It looks like there's a lot of 2s. A few
more
1s
twos.
in there.
More 2s.
More 2s than Yeah, it seems that way, doesn't it? Yeah. So there you go. Also, guys, just touching on Reece Bangura-Williams as well. I know he came on last 10 minutes on Saturday. Probably didn't get much of a fair crack. I think George, I think you mentioned it on our WhatsApp group before. I think that it's a little bit unfair that he's not getting enough minutes. I mean, we're crying out for him to get more game time, but is 10 minutes, George, at the end of a game sufficient enough? Is that enough game time in your opinion?
No, and I think it was nice to see him get some minutes on Saturday, but I think Alex Neil was looking at his substitutions bench at the game of the weekend, and he didn't. It struck to me that he didn't have any confidence in anyone coming off the bench. I know he brought on. Who was the first sub he brought on? I can't remember. He brought on.
Was it Kundal? I can't remember. It was Kundal.
Might have been Kundal. I don't know. I think he made the triple substitution right at the very end. He brought on Harding, and I think he brought on another 2 players just to basically see the game out. But for me, it looked like that Alex Neil didn't have any confidence in his substitution bench and anyone who could have brought on to potentially change the game or change the momentum of the game. But it was nice to see Bangura Williams get some minutes. I'm completely unaware of what's gone on there. I don't know what has gone on in the background as to why he's not playing. Whatever has happened, you hope that it's been squashed and that they can both move forward, because he needs to play regularly. Something's definitely happened there because of the lack of minutes since he scored against Charlton. I think he's played 7 minutes in the league, something ridiculous like that. He's not been in the squad certain days, certain games. Sorry. So we hope that that's over now, and he can get some more minutes going forward, because he is certainly
I think
make an impact.
I think I agree with what you're saying there, George. And I think in some ways, Alex Neil needs to come out. I think the club needs to maybe ask him in one of these, good time now, an international break, do a sit down, talk about, the squad and how things are, and maybe bring up the subject with Bangura Williams. Because what I don't like is I do see a lot of stuff written in social media. We've even had a couple of comments on here sometimes, about his off the field discipline or things he might get up to in activities and whatever. I tell you now, he is a good kid. I know him and his family, very, very well. They're very religious. He doesn't smoke. He doesn't drink alcohol. He doesn't touch anything like that. He doesn't even go out, stuff. He's very much like a homely sort of person, very close to his family. And I think it's very unfair when you see fans speculating, throwing shit out online, saying, "Oh, it's because you've done this, it's because you smoked that, or whatever." It's all bullshit. Everyone's kind of making up their reasons, or trying to put, chuck grenades in there to kind of just spark, some kind of vicious rumor. But he isn't like that. And all I could put it down to is that he's not a runner like a lot of the other players are. Lots of Cundles, they run around quite a lot, and whoever else you want to pick ahead of him, Langstaff. I think Alex Neil likes those sort of players that are hard working, and that's just not how Race Bangura is built. He's not designed that way. I mean, in car terms, I'll put him in there as a Ferrari. You wouldn't put a Ferrari off road, would you? No. If you want someone to go off road, you get a 4x4, or you get someone a little bit more, rough and ready, or a rally car, or whatever. But you don't put a Ferrari, and he is that good. Technically he's a very, very good player. But you got to play into his strength.
But Joe, I remember you said, sorry to interrupt. Didn't you mention that you talked to someone in the under-21s when he was playing in the under-21s, saying, "Yes, look at this kid. Look how much ground he's covering when he's playing in centre midfield." So it really surprises me if Alex Neil is not playing him because of that.
You know who that was? You know who that was? Sorry to interrupt you, Jasper. I was sponsoring Roman Essay at the time. And I was having lunch, as you do, with I had Essay on my table. There was Brooke Norton-Cuffy, and there was Shamar Lawson, who was a young player coming through at the time. Right. And honestly, when they said to me, "Joe, watch out for this young kid coming through called Race Bangura Williams," and real Roman Essay was like going, "Oh my God, like, trust me, he is unbelievable." And of course, I took that and I watched a lot of under-21 games. I watched him play, and they said, like, he just literally bossed the midfield. He can do it. And I think a prime example is, again, I keep mentioning it on previous shows, he did it against Palace, against a Premiership team at Sellers Park, where I think he dominated that game. He was on the ball, he controlled the tempo of the game. His passing was great. Everyone was singing, Roman Essay, he's better than you. And he probably had Roman Essay in his back pocket, and he's mates of his. So. There's a lot to offer, Jesper, is what I'm saying, with Race Bangura Williams. But I just don't like the fact that fans going out there and saying things which can impact a young kid's mind. Mentally. That's the reason why perhaps he might have come off Instagram at the time, because he was reading all this crap being said about him, But people forget about that. He's only a young kid. He's hurting. He wants to be playing football. It ain't about money for Race. It's not about fame and fortunes. He just wants to be playing football. He wants to play at the highest level he can. So, I think something needs to be done and said. I think we need to get some answers now,
Joe, just off the back of that, it's touched on Bangura Williams, but it's touched on a point that George was making. I just looked it up. So our first sub on Saturday was made in the 74th minute, and it was
quite late, isn't it?
Yeah, it was Macaulay Langstaff for Camille Negley.
Yeah.
And to touch on the point, what George was saying, I think I'm agreeing with him when I say this, that Neil was looking at the bench, and when Ivanovic went down injured, turning around, looking, going, I really don't want to do this. I don't want to have to make this sub because the options that we've got on the bench, in his opinion, are just not quite up to the level. Putting Macaulay Langstaff wide left was one of the worst decisions Alex Nill's made. It could have cost us because.
Did you see the mistake he made there? The first 30 seconds, he made 2 errors where they literally, yeah.
He was put on the side where that Thierry Small. And by the way, Preston made 2 of their subs in 57, 58, so they clearly saw that they needed to change it and went for it and did grow into the, back into the game. Langstaff has had a career, admittedly lower down the football chain. He has built a career of being in the box as a finisher. He's got a lot of goals in English football. He has not played that much football where he has to be defending at left back, trying to help out Zach Sturge against a winger that's clearly informed. The Preston fans were loving it when that Small come on. He looked pretty good. It looked like one that I know we were linked with him. It's a shame that we didn't quite get that one over the line from Charlton. But the point is, what I'm trying to say is that the subs were made, and then you had Bangura Williams 82, Kundal, Harding, and Kelly on in the 89th. When and even then we took off Ivanovic in the 89th. When you're looking for a goal, so that kind of tells you where we're at as a club. It just, I think the options that we have at the moment are, in Alex Nill's opinion, not good enough. He is being crippled by injuries, but I think this is, and then turning it back to what we were talking about with Esse, I think there's bigger priorities for players in different positions that we need to be looking at. And for me, I think Saturday was a prime example of that.
Yeah, great shout, Stato. Great shout. I don't know if any of you guys want to sort of add to that, or should we move on?
Yeah, I mean, I just think Mill's story of our season is that we don't actually score a lot of goals. We're not scoring enough goals. I mean, we scored 17 goals in 15 games over the course of a 45, 46 game season. That is not sustainable. And if we want to be fighting in and around the playoffs, if we've got ambitions to ultimately get promotion, right? That's what the ambition is to get promotion, to reach the playoffs. Then we need to be scoring more goals, which means we need to recruit better. We need to keep our best players fit. Fit and firing is what we need to do ultimately, because you say it's Aziz is our top goal scorer this season with 4. Then after that, you've got Negli, Cooper, Ivanovic on 2, and then after that, you've got a host of players on 1. I mean, between our 2 or our 3 striking options, Ivanovic, Coburn, Langstaff, and only scored 4 goals between them. And Aziz is our top goal scorer. He's been out injured half the season, so
terrible, wasn't it? Yeah.
Season. We haven't scored enough goals this season.
How can we fix that, though, guys? I mean, is it a tactical thing? I mean, a couple of guys mentioned in the chat there. Do we go 2 up top? If Coburn's back, do we go 2 up top? Does that then leave us open midfield again? I mean, we started 4-4-2 against Norwich, didn't we? Away at Carrow Road's first game of the season. We didn't look too bad with Billy and Casper in the middle. But if either one of those 2 in the middle are unavailable, suddenly we look a little bit stretched in the middle of the park, don't we? I guess.
Can I just flip that back to you guys and ask a question, and in the chat as well? At the point of going into the Norwich game, so the week before the season started, how many people were either putting on a bet or thinking about putting on a bet of Ivanovic to be the top goal scorer in the division? I had him down as top goal scorer. Yeah, I don't think there are many people in the chat. It's easy to say it in hindsight, but if you're being really honest, I don't think there'd be many people in the chat that would have been sat here after 15 games and Ivanovic would have been stuck on 2 goals. There's no one would have said that. So we thought we'd cracked it. We thought for whatever reason we'd cracked it. We obviously haven't, because the proof's in the pudding. George is saying 17 goals in 15 games is clearly not enough to get yourselves in the top 6. But what is it? Did we massively misread pre-season? Have we, can we just simply put it down to the injuries that we've had? If we had we've had a fully fit squad or a virtually fully fit squad for a few games. We got 2 at QPR. We got 3 against West Brom. We got 2 against Stoke. They're not massive numbers, but that's 7 goals in 3 games when we've got our first team available. Is it simply that you keep players fit, we score goals, we lose players, we don't? That's the question I would say. Is that it?
Mm.
Well, I think we talked about it. Sorry, we talked about it in pre-season. Before the start of the season. Pre-season went quite well. We scored quite a few goals, didn't we? And I know the opposition was it was Sutton and it was Northampton. It was Estoril from Portugal, etc. But I think pre-season looked well, and we saw Ivanovic score quite a few goals as well. So pre-season, you would think, all right, we're going to continue the same way we did, as we did it, last season, at least at the back end of last season. So I don't know if it's the injuries or player who hasn't hit form or what it is. I would put it this way. I don't think we're far away from being a really, really good team, but I still think that there are elements and certain types of players that we're missing. And you mentioned it, Stephen. I think we're crying out for a winger with pace. And I know we got Emakhu, but I have to say now, the output from him is not good enough. He's got pace. But there were two sequences on Saturday again, which really frustrates me. The first one is in the first half. He gets into the box, gets into a really good position, and just smashes it wide of goal when he should have hit the target. Second half, he gets into the position that I think most fans would want him in, a one-on-one where he can run half the length of the pitch against a quite slow defender. And what does he do? He takes a touch that is 40 meters long, and then he goes down in the penalty area.
Yeah.
That tells me that was enough for me to say, okay, I don't think he's up to championship level. I think he needs to drop down at least to League One. Whether that will be on a loan or whether we sell him, I don't know. But I just looked at it. He's played 60 games for Millwall, or he's featured in 60 games, nearly 20 full games. He's had 3 assists and 1 goal. Is that acceptable for our attacking players? I mean, we need to be. Nick Hart mentioned it on Actung. This is not a mates club. You need to look at what do they give to the club, not just defensively, but they are attacking players. We need goals and we need assists. Ballo is almost on the same numbers as Emakhu is, and he's been here for 2-3 months. So I would switch. If this was Football Manager, I'd get rid of Emakhu. I'd replace him, with someone with a bit more skill, and then I think we need a pacey right back as well.
Good shout.
Yeah.
Good point, Jesper. And that Billy Smith said here as well. I thought Emakhu had a good game. A lot of people mentioned how well he played on Saturday. I think even Angelo's analysis said, he was not trying to find faults, but he said it's the first week in a while that, he said he couldn't really pick many faults apart from the chance that he had. We went through and goal and he hits it wide of the post rather than hits it on target. Sorry,
can I just to ask you there, Joe? So did you think that Emakhu had a good game on Saturday?
As far as I don't think he did much wrong. Yeah, he worked quite hard on that right, especially the first half. He put in a few good crosses, won a few corners. He set piece on the corners were very, very good, very dangerous. He trapped back. He had that chance where he went wide, but again, that was all on him. I think Andrew mentioned it on his analysis. It's all power and pace. He broke through, but to Jesper's point, on that chance where he did break through, that first touch was so heavy, he just took the ball out of his stride and he completely fumbled and messed up there, didn't he? So.
The big thing that there's a comment that I think you're going to get to from Jonathan. He's 100% right that we messed up his development by not sending him out on loan and getting him some actual game time. That is the biggest problem that Emakhu has had in English football. He come from the Irish league. It's no disrespect, but playing in the Championship is a completely different world. To that level, and he should have been given an opportunity to go out on loan. I think that's a
really good shout. Yeah, he was so raw when he came, weren't he? Yeah. Which is great in some ways because he played for Shamrock Rovers. But let's be honest, it's a massive step up. And you're absolutely spot on. We should have got him, sent him out on loan straight away before we even put him into the first team.
Play some football at League One. There's certain clubs that you probably look at in League One. You're looking at your Wickhams, your Peterboroughs that like those quick type players that you could have got some development out of. And going back to you answered the question in a way that I'm pleased that you did. I said to you, did Emakhu have a good game? And your answer was he didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, that doesn't suggest that he didn't. No, but he didn't do anything. And I think there's that. People say that he gets them off their seats with his pace, but you're in danger in the crowd when he gets into a position to cross or shoot the ball because he just smashes it as hard as he can without any real thought as to what he's actually doing. So
I like this point there as well, Stato. He said Marco is such an enigma, our biggest threat, and then the biggest letdown. Really divides opinion. It's true. He's got all the attributes, isn't he?
If you look at someone like Femi Aziz, and you can't compare the two because they're just at completely different ends of the spectrum. Aziz has played in League One. He's played some football. He's worked at his game, but he delivers the ball. He puts the ball into the box. He tries to create chances. And Maku genuinely looks like he is just trying to hit the ball as hard as he can wherever he's on the pitch. There's no thought process whatsoever. And if you want to be in the top 6 in this division, that's not good enough, unfortunately.
No.
It's
Stephen,
just not good enough.
That is exactly also what happened first half. He gets it on the left, takes it towards the byline, and he just looks down. He doesn't even look up, and he just smashes it. It goes out for a throw-in. It doesn't hit anyone.
Just when you see Chris Brown's comment, the pigeons shit themselves when he crosses. There was a time on Saturday, I'm pretty sure, where he had a couple of good deliveries from a corner. Then a ball comes out to him. He kicks on his left foot and he hits it. It goes out right over for a throw, doesn't it? From memory. That's just Marku, sadly,
I just think that we talk about quality and they're at such different ends of the spectrum. You look at someone, if you had Doherty and Aziz, someone put it in the chat, if you had those two, the quality of delivery from both of them is exceptional. You take them away, Ballo, I'm 50-50.
Ballo's not far behind, is he?
No, he's not.
His delivery,
He's not. I'm 50-50 on. I think that he probably needs to be a little bit quicker at getting the ball over. When he does get the ball over, it tends to be a good cross. But then you go to Maku, and it's just at a complete other end of the spectrum. He's just way off of the other players. But he looks good, or he looks better just because he's quick. Could Usain Bolt in the team doesn't mean he's going to be able to deliver the ball. It's the same thing.
It helps though. You can be an average player, but if you've got pace, it makes a big difference. George, I want to come to yourself next. We're getting towards the end of the show now, so I want to touch on injuries and Billy Mitchell, another player that's it was rumoured before the game, and of course, the lineup is there, and he's not in the squads. He's out for 6 weeks. Alex Neil said that Billy apparently felt a tight muscle in his hamstring the morning after play or something. He said he woke up. So I don't know. A serious question. I don't know what Billy's other half is doing on a school night. I mean, she should be leaving him alone. Let's be honest, But apparently he felt something in his leg during that night. Woke up with a leg. They then done a scan and they found there was a tear. George, and he scans. He's out for another 6 weeks, it seems. And you can't make it up, can you, at the moment, how things are? And he's been quite unlucky. Because I'm pretty sure he had a hamstring injury before when he came back, didn't he, just recently?
Well, this is it, right? Millwall's biggest downfall to today is injuries. It is an absolute killer. I mean, we're in the 20-25 injuries to different players this season. I mean, it is an absolute joke. And I mean, for Bill, you got it really, because he's only just come back from injury not that long ago. He's come back into the team. He missed a game. I think it was the Stoke game, or the Coventry game, where he was out because of illness as well.
That's so. Right, yeah.
Been a bit stop-start for him so far this season after coming back from a big injury, which was over the course of the summer pre-season. So you feel sorry for him, because on his day, of course, he is one of Millwall's better midfielders. Him and Casper certainly together in that middle of the park has been fantastic. So and he's out of contract at the end of the season as well. So this is the big talking point now. Do
you think he'll get a contract, George? I
think he will. I think he will. I can see Billy Mitchell being at Millwall for his whole career. I just one of them players, and he's more than good enough for the level as well.
One club team, one club sort of player,
one club sort of player. And when he first broke through into the first team, there was lots of shouts days of a future Millwall captain, but he has to remain fit on a more regular basis, because when he does play, he's obviously really good for us. Just his energy, his tenacity, that Millwallness in the middle of the park is what you need. You need a player like that in your team. You need a Billy Mitchell. Just a massive shame he's got injured, because I mean, couldn't riot, could you? Couldn't riot.
That's right. Come to yourself next, Jesper. What do you make of the injury at the moment with Billy? Obviously, it's a shame. I mean, Alex Neil made a point. Will Scott, the journalist for Southwark News, interviewed Alex Neil, and I think I don't know whether you were in the same press conference at the time, George, but he mentioned that he's got a suggestion or belief the reason why the likes of Billy Mitchell, Femi Aziz, Luongo have had these injuries, these big injuries, because they weren't present in pre-season, didn't have a pre-season. And he talks about players like, Tristan Kramer, Jake Cooper, Casper De Norre, and Mihailo Ivanovic, where they've had a good pre-season and therefore they've come through and they've been pretty much injury-free. Do you think that has any impact, any bearing on it, in your opinion? Do you agree with Alex Neil there?
Was that one for me?
Yes.
Sorry. I don't know, because to me, just on top of my head, it just seems like the whole team has been injured. But he does have a point, in fact, that Cooper plays most games. Tristan hasn't been injured yet.
Ivanovic, he rolled off Casper De Norre.
Yeah, Casper's had a small injury, but Ivanovic does play most of the times, and it does seem he might have a point to that, but it just seems like we're getting an extensive amount of injuries, doesn't it? And for Billy, it's really disappointing. I mentioned it in the chat as well, that he didn't seem to be injury prone when he played under Gary Rowett. When he first came through, he was playing almost every game, never injured. First name on the team sheet as well under Gary. So I don't know what has happened, because you would think that getting more championship experience, playing more football, and getting older, and maybe a bit more stature and getting more physical, he would be less injury prone. It just seems like the opposite has happened, right? So this disappointing for him, because I think he's one of the players who has probably developed the most under Alex Neil. I like the way he plays now. His tenacity. I think he's playing more forward now compared to what he did earlier. So a big miss. I just think we're lucky that we found a hidden gem in France who can sort of replace him for the amount of time he's out. But it's worrying, because we're heading into the Christmas period now, and I'm just worried that we might stick him in the team before he's actually 100% ready, because we got a lot of games coming up in December, and with Luongo out, Smallbone out, Kundl being a player that you could play in the center of the park, I'm just worried that he might get injured again. So, a very frustrating one. And in terms of contract, I can hardly imagine that we won't give him one because of the amount of injuries that he's had, because he's such a vital player for us when he's ready. Sorry.
Yeah. Cheers for that, Jesper. And then Stato, just ending with yourself, mate, with the Billy Mitchell situation, and obviously him being a very, very important part of our first team at the moment. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I'm just going to start with something slightly different. There was a comment that was made in the chat about that Chaps didn't he? Chris did the interview, or we did the interview with Mark Fairbrother.
Yeah.
And talking about our injury situation. So whilst the guys were just chatting there, I just had a quick look. So I've taken 4 games from the Championship on Saturday, us included. So you got Preston v Millwall, Blackburn v Derby, Sheffield United v QPR, and Swansea versus Ipswich. So missing players on Flash Scores, they do a feature where they tell you what teams have got what players injured, and just as a comparison. So according to Flash Scores, Swansea had no injuries going into the game. They had a fully fit squad. Ipswich were missing 5 players. Sheffield United were missing 4. QPR missing 2. Blackburn missing 5. Sorry, Blackburn missing 6, Derby missing 5, and then us and Preston actually were missing the same amount of players. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, according to those. So
there is some truth in it, but not to the extent as us.
There is truth in it. There is truth in it, and other, we can't just say we're the only club in the world that gets injuries, because we're not. We know that, but I think you do have to look at the. You can't just hide behind that. You can't just say, oh, well, it's the same as everywhere else. You kind of have to get on with it. There is clearly a reason why our players are getting injured. Bringing that back to Billy Mitchell, he's been superb. He has been absolutely superb this season. I think he was really, early door front runner for one of the sort of contenders for player of the season. Looked like he developed his game going forward. A lot of comments in the past about him only passing backwards and sideways, but I think that's kind of gone now. But it's just another one. He can't stay fit. And are the club going to? Are we in the era of we kept chucking contracts at the likes of, we kept keeping people on the books like your Mason Bennett's, people like that that were good on their day, but got an injury, come back, played a couple of games. I think Billy Mitchell's better than that, but are we going to be prepared to keep offering a deal to a player that can only keep himself fit for, I mean, at the moment, it's half of the games. I would like him to stay, but I think that the club might look at it slightly differently, which, whether you agree with that or not. But if it was up to me, I would give him another deal now to try and tie him down. But I think a conversation will have to be had with him that he has to improve his fitness. I don't know how you do that. If his body's built that way, Josh Coburn's the same. How do you improve your muscles and so you don't get tears and breaks or anything like that? But he certainly has to find a way to do that.
Yeah, Chris Brown made a good point here as well. So Mill will look after Mitchell like they did with Danny Mack. I think he's one of those sort of players where no matter what, they will make sure he's looked after. I'm sure they will. Talk about Danny Mack. He played today in a 3-1 win for the under-21s against Bournemouth. Danny Mack completed 90 minutes. What I loved about that, I think it's his third game for the under-21s. He did 60 minutes the first game, 75 minutes, I think it was the second game, and then 90 minutes, which is great. And he also assisted the opener for AJ Matthews, who got 2 goals, and Ben Drake with the other. And it was a great setup as well. And also, the fact he's come back from knee injury as well, guys. It's great to see him back and complete 90 minutes of football. And he even got booked as well for a typical Danny Mack tackle. So he's definitely back. He's trusting his knee on those tackles. Portsmouth, 2 weeks away. We've got a problem at right back at the moment, guys. Do you think it's too soon to bring Danny Mack back into the fold? Or do we go for a different formation? Guys, in the chat as well, give me a 1 if you think Danny Mack's ready to come back into right back, or number 2 if you think it's too soon. What's your thoughts, guys? What do you think? George?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be too soon for the club of Alex Neil to bring Danny Mack in straight away for a competitive league championship match. I think they'll like to ease him in. I think they'll like to have him on the bench for a couple of games. I mean, in between now until then, there'll probably be another under-21s game, which will probably get another 90 minutes in. So who knows in 2 weeks' time? But I just think it would be too soon to throw him into a championship fixture away from home. I don't see it happening. So with Cooper then suspended, what would you do then?
What would you do? Would you go 4 at the back? If you do, who would you play right back? Would you go 3 at the back? People are asking you for.
I mean, the options are so limited. I personally, not what I would do, but what I can see happening is I can see Wes Harding going at right back with Kramer and Taylor as your 2 centre backs with Sturge at left back. There is right. I don't really know if there is another option other than maybe changing to a 3 at the back. I don't know, but then you need to.
This is a problem though, George. Alex MFC is point, and I had this point as well. I went a couple of times to Portsmouth away, and there was one game I think Tristan Kramer's playing right back, and he's quite quick, Tristan Kramer. But I tell you what, Josh Murphy gave him nightmares. Yeah, that was Tristan Kramer playing right back. If you're playing 3 at the back, and a lot of people say, "Oh, we should play 3 at the back." We did it without Cooper against Palace. We've done really well. Palace play through the middle. A lot of their plays through the middle, and with 3 at the back, we contain them quite nicely. Portsmouth relied very heavily on their wingers, especially on that left side with Josh Murphy. If you play 3 at the back, you haven't got an out-and-out fullback there. You play quite hard at the pitch, which means they can stretch you and counter-attack you quite easy on that side. So the trick is when you're playing against high, good wingers, you have to go 4 at the back, and your fullback has to go man for man. So I don't know what Alex Neil's going to do, but I'd be very shocked, surprised if he goes for 5 or 3 at the back. I think he'll go for 4. But back to you again, George. What do you do if that happens? Is Wes Harding the answer? I don't know.
No, it's not. But it's gonna have to be, isn't it?
Well, it's gonna have to be, exactly. Yeah. But otherwise, where'd you go with it?
No, I don't know. I actually don't think there is another suggestion to have there, unless Ryan Leonard is miraculously fit and can play against Portsmouth. Yeah. I don't know if there is another option. I don't think there is another option.
The only other option that we have is Kamal Grant.
Grant did well against Palace, according to Andy Herbert as well. Yeah,
he's the only one that I think might he might get an opportunity. How that would work, because realistically, I think Kramer I think Kramer's going to have to play at right back. I don't want him to play at right back, but I think he's going to have to, because I don't think we can have if Wes Harden is up against Murphy. Anyone that's going to Portsmouth is going to have an absolute nightmare. I am included in that, by the way. I will be there, but because you can't leave him one-on-one against that Murphy. So I think Kramer has to go out there, which then begs the question.
Although Kramer struggled last time, though, didn't he, as well against them?
He did, but would you rather have a guy that's not really played any championship football in Kamal Grant at right back, Wes Harding, who the last game he played against Birmingham was absolutely woeful, or Kramer, who's got previous of doing it?
Okay, so you play Kramer there. Who do you play in the middle instead of Kramer?
Grant and Taylor.
But you're playing Grant and Taylor, two young players, 22 years of age and 19, I think, or 20. That's
the only other option.
Limited.
Oh no, I agree. I agree. I'm not suggesting that that's the way I would go, but that is the only other option. But for me, I think if you're not going to risk Danny McNamara at right back, which I personally wouldn't, I'm with George there. I think it's a little bit too soon. The only person for me that can play at right back at the moment is Tristan Kramer, knowing who he's going to be up against. I can't see you putting anyone else out there because they're just not going to be able to deal with it.
I'll tell you what, I hate to be Alex Neil, wouldn't you, for this game there, Jesper?
100%. 100%.
What would you do, Jesper, if you're Alex Neil in this situation? I mean, God, you could get it wrong so badly both ways, can't you? But yeah, if you get it right, Jesus, you're the best manager in Neil's history, aren't you? So what would you do if you're Alex Neil in this situation?
I don't know, but I think apart from praying, no, I think it's a given. There is the exciting option of giving Grant, a place in the team for that game, but I just can't see it happening. I think he's going to go with the tried and tested, even though that is not very good. A very good option, in my opinion, that it's going to be Harding on the right and Kramer in the middle. But it will make sense to bring Kramer out on the right to play against just Murphy, because he's so quick to eliminate that threat. And I think Grant could, with Taylor, could cope with Bishop in the box, with the potential crosses coming in. So, and just remember, Grant is not as young as we think he is, and he's. I think we all were a bit surprised. I think he's actually 22 now, isn't he? So he's not a young kid anymore.
Now, is he?
Yeah,
21 or 22 actually. He's still young, but he's not a teenager anymore.
Yeah,
and he's for a game like that where we know it's going to be physical. He's played in League Two where it's very physical. It could be a game that actually suits him. Portsmouth is not your typical technical tiki-taka side. It's going to be physical. It's going to be right in your face. It could actually be a game that he could thrive in. So maybe
good point.
It wouldn't be that big a chance to actually play him in that particular game until Kuz gets back. So if I was Alex, I would probably put Grant and Taylor in there, as I said, to cope with the crosses and set pieces, and then put Kramer and Sturger Bryan, on left and right back.
Yeah. Okay, excellent points, guys. In the chat, I asked you who would go for Danny Mack. Put a 1, number 2 if you don't, and it's been a few votes in there, not many. We've got a 2 there from Andy. We've got a 1 there from War Lion. Put Danny Mack in a 1. I guess a few of them are going more for 1 than 2.
Do you not think though? Do you not think though that that's due to the circumstances? It's not necessarily. It's not necessarily. If Ryan Leonard was fit, we wouldn't be having this conversation. It would just be he's playing and that's the end of it. So
of course, absolutely. But given the situation we're in,
I think that if we play a 21s game, I don't know, George or Joe, you might be able to answer this. I'm assuming that they will have one next week. There'll be some form of game next week. If McNamara was to play another 90 or perhaps 75 with the view of him being in the first team squad on Saturday, could we not do what we did, perhaps what we were planning on doing with Casper when he come back from his injury, put him on the bench and give him scheduled minutes and maybe have him as an option at some point in the game, or start him and then take him off as a scheduled return? That's the only other thing maybe that they could do, but it would be dependent on him perhaps playing in that 21s game next week and coming through it.
We've actually got 2 games, so I believe that the Millwall under 21s are playing QPR on Friday, this upcoming Friday. And then next Friday, we've got a game against Swansea.
That's interesting. So if you can play 90 minutes on Friday, come through that gives them a week's rest for next Saturday.
Yeah.
It?
And I would assume then, again, that if we're playing the fixture in the under-21s on the Friday before Portsmouth, anybody that's in that squad obviously won't be travelling to Portsmouth on the Saturday. Yeah. So if that could be, you could get an understanding of what we're going to do. Because if McNamara is not in that 21s team the day before, the chances are he's travelled with the team.
Yeah. Good point. Good shout there. So again, it's a tricky situation. I think I'm more inclined to go with Danny Mack, as you guys said. If he comes through 90 minutes against QPR on the under-21s and looks good and looks fit, I think, you know what, just bring him in. I don't know. Maybe I'm scarred a little bit from last time I watched Crammer get absolutely ruined by Josh Murphy that day at right back, and he was literally like a deer in headlights. You know where he was, and I just feel. He could either have the best game Crammer there or the worst game again, because he might have learnt his mistakes from last time, and he might actually, you know what, I know how to deal with him this time, you know.
But it was also one of his first games for the club, wasn't it? Back then, I think we played them in January or something.
Yeah,
so
it
was fairly new to the club. So
I guess so.
Yeah,
and to be fair, it's probably his biggest challenge up until that point. Up until that point, I think he was cruising. He was getting forward most games, weren't he? And I think that's the first time defensively he was asked questions of.
Wasn't it also the first game that Crammer had to play there, because it was the game after we lost Leonard and McNamara in the same, because we lost them in the same half the game before, or 2 games before.
Cardiff.
Yeah, and then we had to travel to Portsmouth to rearrange. So I think Crammer, he did struggle that night, Joe, you're right, but he possibly a little bit of baptism of fire.
Yeah. Good. And Beck says here, played Grant, Crammer, right back, leave Wes on the bench. I have to agree with that. The only thing is, I just don't know if it's fair to put Grant in that situation against Caleb Taylor, who didn't look as confident as I liked him to have been on Saturday against Preston. You know, if he was commanding and bossed that defensive line, then I'll probably say, yeah, you know, he's ready. But
by the way, the reason why we're having this conversation right now is because Jake Cooper is suspended, by the way. And the yellow card with Stephen Martin game on Saturday was one of the softest. It wasn't even a free kick. It wasn't even.
It was a great tackle. It was absolutely nothing. Winning that ball, you say, what a tackle. The way he got back, the way he won the ball and turned him and outstripped him. Yeah.
Any shirt pull nowadays, you get a yellow card. You know, yet it was a slight.
Was there a shirt pull? Was there?
There was a if you go back and watch it, there's a slight. That's the only reason that Coops could make up, you know, for speed wise, you know, that he gets back. But you don't see it. He covers it very well, and he grips him, and then 1 second later, he lets him go. But the referee unfortunately sees it, and any shirt pull nowadays is just a given yellow, isn't it?
Just harsh.
Apart from
it's hard. I didn't think it was a yellow card. But it's just nowadays there's just
when Ivanovic gets his shirt pulled and basically thrown to the floor.
I agree.
That's when the rule changes.
I know. And it just seems to be a bigger leeway for defenders to get away with stuff than it does for, you know, vice versa for the strikers against defenders. It was poor refereeing on Saturday, especially for me.
I actually had a conversation with a Preston fan after the game. He replied to a tweet of mine I'd posted on X, and then messaged me separately about the game and stuff. And he was bemoaning the ref. He went to the game as well, this guy, and he was sort of saying that it's amazing how opposition supporters every single week complain about the refs, and everyone seems to think that they're the team that's hard done by. But he said that for both teams on Saturday, and it was the same, I think, against QPR, that refs literally are getting battered by both sets of supporters nearly every week. It seems to be reoccurring at every single game in the Championship. That it's just, whether it's defenders, attackers, whether it's, you know, inconsistency, whatever it might be, everybody seems to have something to say about it.
True. Very, very good point, guys. I think we've come towards the end of the show now. Obviously, thank you to our listeners being with us again tonight. Really do appreciate it. Obviously, we've got no game this weekend. Whether or not there'll be a live show next week, I'm not too sure. But obviously look out for socials, and I'm sure everything will be announced if we are going to do one. Just want to thank you guys, my co-hosts, for being with us tonight and giving us your words of wisdom and giving your time so generously. Just anything you want to say before we say goodbye? Please don't say no.
I've stopped doing that. No, it's
you stopped doing that.
I stopped doing that. No, it was good to be back on, and yeah, this was the first. I think the first third of the season, wasn't it? Time to evaluate, and I think we're in a good position. But it's also, as George said, worrying that we've only scored 17 goals. So yeah. It'll be interesting to see how November and December evolves, and fingers crossed we'll have some players back, and we need to keep up the good vibes. We're in a good position, but it's all what comes next, because we were also in this position last season, if memory doesn't fail me. I think we actually had 22 or 23 points from 15 games last season, if I'm not mistaken. So it's all what comes next now, and I do not like the rumors about Middlesbrough losing their manager, Norwich losing their manager, Alex Neil being rumored. It's I don't hope that there's anything into these rumors. I know he said there isn't, but fingers crossed that what he says is correct.
Brilliant. Cheers, Jesper. Thanks for being on.
And thanks to the listeners, as always, for tuning in.
There you go. Cheers, Jesper. And before we go to Stato, be live. Thank you very much. Please make sure you like and subscribe and share the video. As you know, everything we do here goes to Cancer Research, the charity. Cheers for the reminder there at Be Lion. And Steve Morton, no, we can't get to see Joe's goal. Okay. I know there's a big demand out there, but I'm not going to show. I'll tell you what, we can put one's in the chat if you want to see the goal, two if you don't. And I'm going to go with the majority. I can't be fair on that, can I? Stato, if you want to say before we say goodbye to our listeners, and don't try to talk them out of not seeing my goal.
I think the biggest thing to remember at the moment, and it might come across as a little bit doom and gloom on today's show or this evening's show, we're still 6th in the league. We've only lost 1 in our last 7, so the squad's been depleted again. We're still in a strong position. I think we clearly have to improve. We have to improve in front of goal, but we are still in a strong position. And it was a long way to go, but we still have the opportunity to do something really special this year. We just need a little bit of luck with injuries and kind of stick with it. It's easy. It's been easy to come on. Last couple of times I was on here, we'd come on after wins and everyone's buzzing. We're playing good football. We're scoring good goals. It's a really good atmosphere, but literally stick with it. We're 6th in the league, and it's not all doom and gloom. It really isn't all doom and gloom.
Nice one, Stat. I think you'd be very, very happy. I think it looks like there's more ones than twos here. Would you agree, Stato?
I don't see any ones. I don't think anybody ever wants to see the goal ever again, and it's deleted from the archives.
George, is there more ones than twos there?
I don't know if I've ever seen it before, mate. You might have to just.
That's all I needed. That's all I needed. A little bit of encouragement at the end. I couldn't do it. It's been quite a painful week with last 2 games. But George, anything you want to say, mate, before we wrap things up?
No, I thought Stephen wrapped it up pretty well there. 1 loss in our last 7, 6th in the league. All things considered, despite the number of injuries Millwall have had, we've actually had a really good start to our season, really, in comparison to previous seasons where Millwall as a club are predominantly slow starters. To have us where we are in the league with the number of injuries, all things considered, you've got to be happy. You've got to be content with the way we're going so far. And you look at our next 3 fixtures: Portsmouth away, 20th in the league; Sheffield Wednesday at home, 24th in the league, rock bottom; and you're Southampton at home again, 17th in the league. Our next 3 fixtures straight after international break are maybe deemed as winnable. So with 2 home games in there as well. So yeah, listen, lots to be positive about going forward. And the international break, although coming out at the right time, just can't wait for that first game back now.
Nice one. Cheers, George. Thanks for being with us, mate. I really do appreciate it. Thanks to you listeners, and thanks to everyone for being on. Didn't Joe's miss a penalty in the same game? Or I'll see that. No, I didn't miss a penalty. I only score goals.
Guys, I'll tell you what. If we do one more, sorry, Joe, we do one more. A 1 for no. Sorry, no. Oh, sorry. A 1 for yes and a 2 for no. For the next live that we do that I'm on with Joe, if you want me to upload the clip of Joe missing from 1 yard,
we're running out of time now, Stato. We're running out of time.
Put a 1 in the.
Say goodbye. Say goodbye, Stato. Say goodbye.
One's in the chat, guys. One's in the chat.
Bye bye, guys. Thanks for being with us. Take care. We'll see you soon. All the best.
Thank you.
Toodaloo, motherfucker.